What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're breaking down episode 3 of The Amazing Race, and it's to Italy we go, and it's a mega leg. 2 detours, 2 roadblocks, 2 cities, 2 episodes. We did not get an elimination this episode. It is a full 2 episode mega leg where the racers just kept on going. There was no pit stop even. And let's just start it off from the top. The brothers, Michael and Marcus, they were in the first group to lead along with the newlyweds, Glenda and La Bamba. And there was a little bit of trouble with driving stick early on, and that's kind of a theme throughout the episode of issues with manual transmissions. Came up a lot. And we get to the detour, and it's head of class or the big cheese. So with head of class, it was like an anatomy lesson. They had to go to the oldest university in the Western world, listen to a lecture, and then it was a timed exam. And if you fail, you had to do it again. Not only did you have to do it again, but it was pretty rough because once a lecture was going on, you couldn't go in and join it. You had to wait for the next session of the lecture to start. So it was really kind of a difficult one. The big cheese, on the other hand, they had to deliver a big wheel of cheese to a professional cheese cutter. Yep. And then that cheese cutter would have to cut the cheese. Yep. Then they would deliver half of it to a restaurant, which was right there, and then the other half to another restaurant. So both of these were, options. But I think the big cheese was definitely the better option to go with in this one. Unless you were just really good with anatomy, because there were a few teams that did crush that one. The brothers got to the cheese first, but choose to go to the cheese first. And then the newlyweds, they wanted to go do the anatomy lesson. But they didn't read the whole clue. The clue specifically said to drive to each of the pit stops and park. They were running around on their feet, and that cost them a lot of time early. So much so that we'll talk about them even later on in the episode, because that really took them from being one of the first to leave to being all the way down in last place. Finally, the next group sets off, and there was even more stick shift issues. All the teams are kind of splitting up, choosing which detours they want to go to. Some going to the head of the class, some going to the big cheese. And like I said, that head of class one was really rough. It was a short time that you had to finish the exam afterwards too. It was only like 90 seconds. There were like extra pieces in there too, so it wasn't an easy one to do. DX and Claire actually struggled with the big cheese on trying to find the second restaurant, but they had a good recovery because they were like one street over. The brothers though, Marcus and Michael, they were the first ones to finish the detour, and they headed off to the roadblock, which was actually at the Ducati factory, which is known for making incredible motorcycles. So that was going to be the roadblock for this episode. Also, speaking of the detour, the cheerleaders crushed the head of class one. Quentin and Maddie, especially Maddie, she apparently did a lot of anatomy in school and just absolutely just crushed it. She did amazing with that. Everyone else had to kind of retry multiple times. The twins also crushed it. I think it was Molly who worked in the medical field, so she did really well with it. And other than that, I think Will and Abby did really well with it too. Litton and Shirk, they had to do it multiple times. There were many racers that had to do it multiple times to get on track. But let's move on to the roadblock, because eventually kind of everybody was getting past that. But over on the roadblock, like I said, it was the Ducati factory, which makes motorcycles, and basically they had to put a motorcycle together. They had to put the wheels and the brakes on, install all those. That would get inspected, and then they would have to do the body panels on the motorcycles as well. The brothers were still in first place, kind of crushing it. Mike was the one who started. And then Marcus actually said, he's like, I own a Ducati. But, there's two types of people. There's people that, do it themselves, and there's people that pay others to do it for them. He's like, I'm one of those. So Michael was the one who actually was doing all the work on it. Glinda and La Bamba, they finally make it to the head of class detour as everyone else is kind of finishing it. So they have a lot of time still to make up. Meanwhile, everybody else is kind of showing up to the Ducati factory to get started on the roadblock. Rich and Dom, they ended up making it a little bit easier on the newlyweds because they only just made it to the head of class one as well. So they kind of made it easier on Glenda and Lumba because they were late to it. But after several attempts, there was a nice little fake out because the quiz master, he kind of lined them up and he pulls out the clue and he's like, you can give this to the team behind you. And then eventually pulled out the clue, and both of them set off for the roadblock. So it all comes down to the roadblock here in this episode, which lots of different teams struggled with. They didn't know how to use the tools right. They didn't know, how to put all the pieces on correctly. And another big thing, like I said, it was kind of a theme throughout this episode of manual transmissions really messing with people. You had to kind of spin the back wheel freely. But a lot of the racers didn't know that you had to engage the clutch to make the wheel spin. So just those manual transmissions really putting a damper on a lot of them. Claire from Team Big Brother, she did not know how to ratchet works. She's like, I think it's loosening it. Why isn't it tightening? What's going on? Someone who really impressed me was Emily from the twins. I don't think she has necessarily a mechanical background, but she was just really good at paying attention to the details, following the example, and she crushed this. Like, she dominated this. They weren't the first team to lead. The brothers, Marcus and Michael, they continue to be in first place, but slowly more and more teams started to get their way and finish this, which ended up with only Rich and Dom and Glenda and La Bamba. Rich and Dom head on out, and then Glenda and La Bamba, they actually end the episode still there at the roadblock. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to climb back, but there's still a whole nother detour and a whole nother roadblock in this mega leg before the elimination happens. So they have a lot of time to get back into it. And again, that kind of is where we wrap up the episode with a to be continued as everybody else headed on away. They are headed to Florence, Italy now. That's where they will actually face the next roadblock. So I'm assuming the roadblock will be first and then the detour afterwards. Because that's at least what they said in the episode. It was for your roadblock clue. So I assume that's what we're going to start the next episode off with. But yeah. It was an alright episode. I would rather have this been like one long episode instead of cutting it in half and making us wait until next week to find out what happens with this mega leg. But it's kind of a workaround for the no non-elimination legs when you have so many episodes in a season and only so many teams. You kind of stretch it out and make it 2 episodes instead of just 1 episode. But yeah. Not bad, not great. I kind of enjoyed watching them struggle with the Ducatis and putting them together. But overall, I enjoyed it. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Which teams are you liking the most? I'm still kind of pulling for Derek and Claire, but Emily and Molly really impressed me this episode, and they've been impressing kind of the whole race. So I'm excited to see how their journey continues to go. Glenda and Lumumba. I always say this wrong. Lumumba. They have a lot of work ahead of them to catch up with everybody else. And yeah, I thought overall good episode. What did you guys think in the comments down below? Let me know. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Especially if you made it all the way to the end of this video, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, you never miss a stream. We do also have The Mole, which is going to be releasing today. So I will be catching up on all that, giving a recap and a review of the episodes that do get released. I imagine they'll release at least like 3 episodes or so tonight. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm definitely going to be checking that out. So look for that on the channel here. And as always, I will see you next time.